Get to today's Option Insight. Bloomberg News Markets correspondent Abigail Doolittle is in the house, along with longtime market watcher, economist, and investor Dennis Gartman, longtime writer, too, of his closely followed newsletter for so long, the Gartman Letter. Abigail, over to you.
Thanks so much, Carol. And Dennis, great to have you with us on this Friday. And what a year it's been. Stocks have put in quite a rally, but so has Bitcoin. So, Dennis, I know you love gold. I'm not sure about how you feel about Bitcoin. Gold up almost 30% on the year. Bitcoin, though, up almost 140%. What's going on, and can it last?
It still surprises me that there's that much respect for Bitcoin. As I've said for a long period of time, Bitcoin has months of being given value of some sort. I'm not sure that the value is real, but it has months of being valued at some price. Gold has centuries of being valued as an asset. And I'll take the centuries bet over the monthly bet almost any time. So I'm still surprised that we've had this kind of a rally in Bitcoin. I'll not sell it short. Anybody else can do it if they wish. I'll leave it to people wiser or more skillful or more dreadworthy than I am. But I am surprised by the fact that Bitcoin has gotten over $100,000. There is some sense of scarcity value to it, I guess. But to me, it reminds me too much of the tulip bulb craze of 16th century Holland and the high-tech craze of the late 1990s and early 20th century here in the United States. So I'll leave it to others to buy Bitcoin. I'll avoid it.
I'll assume, Dennis, then. Hi, it's Carol. Long time. You and I have talked about lots of market cycles over the years. I'm not surprised that you question Bitcoin. I think we all try to make sense of it as well. I mean, how do you think it ends? Do we even know that? I'm just curious, is this going to be one for the history books that we look back 5-10 years and say, oh, yeah, that was that thing? Or
that's exactly what will happen. We'll look back at it 5-10 years from now and say, there was the day. You'll have a day when Bitcoin is up $15,000 per Bitcoin, and it closes down $5,000 that day. It won't be on news. It'll just be on somebody saying, I've decided to cash in on Bitcoin, and it'll collapse of its own weight. But it'll be probably months or years into the future before that happens. And anybody's guess is better than mine.
What would you say, Dennis, to somebody who pushed back and said, okay, well, we think that Bitcoin is just digital gold. There is a scarcity to it. There's a finite amount of Bitcoin out there, just like there is with gold. Maybe you'd push back and say, well, what's the inherent value in Bitcoin? What's the inherent value in gold?
Gold has just been around for centuries, and that's the inherent value that it has. It has been money for years. It's been money for centuries. It's been money for 1,000 years, and it'll probably continue to be money for 1,000 years. Bitcoin may, 1,000 years from now, we may look back and say Bitcoin was it. I have my doubts, and the fact that everybody argues in favor of its scarcity, there's an infinite amount of other cryptocurrencies that keep coming to market on a consistent basis. So that takes away from the scarcity value of Bitcoin as a one-off circumstance.
Well, Dennis, let's switch gears because you are a cross-commodity guru. And corn down 6% this year, down for a second year. Wheat down 12% this year, down for a second year in a row. Stocks, on the other hand, up more than 25%, or at least the S&P 500. Often when you have massive divergences like that in the risk assets, and to my memory, back in the day when I used to do analysis around these divergences, the grains, for whatever reason, maybe because it's in the real world, would lead stocks, whether it was up or down. What is your take right now on the grains complex?
Grains seem to me to be very cheap. They've stopped going down. They've taken bearish news consistently over the course of the past month or two, and they've refused to make new lows. I think that's indicative of a market that's trying to make a bottom. Clearly, they have been under pressure for the course of the past year or two, but I think the fact that they are taking bearish news well in hand and not making new lows is I think that's to be embraced at this point. So I would err upon the side of being long of corn, being long of wheat, being long of soybeans. Doesn't mean you have to go out and throw the woodshed at it, but I think they're trying hard to make a low. I think what we need to understand is technology has had a huge impact upon the grain markets. Over the course of the past 50 years, 50 years ago, we grew about 40 bushels of corn per acre. Now we're doing about 175 bushels of corn per acre.
Yep.
50 years ago, we raised about 18 bushels of wheat per acre. Now we're doing about 52 bushels of wheat per acre.
Yep.
So we've seen technology. The research facilities at the various land-grant universities have done their job and have done a great job of creating more and more grain in less and less acreage. That's a very impressive circumstance.